Jon Hamm's hidden past. Everyone knows Jon Hamm as the smooth, unshakable Don Draper. Cool suit, cooler stare, nothing out of place. But behind that Hollywood polish sits a chapter he probably hoped would never resurface. Long before the fame, before the Emmys, before anyone cared about his old-school charm, Hamm was just another fraternity kid at the University of Texas. And according to court records, that frat life got dark, fast. The incident wasn't some harmless college prank. It was violent, humiliating, and serious enough that the victim, a pledge named Mark Allen Sanders, had to drop out of school altogether. The reports described beatings, restraints, and even a moment where the claw end of a hammer was used to drag him across the floor. That single night detonated an entire fraternity chapter and left him facing criminal charges. He eventually pled guilty to hazing and walked away with probation, but the internet hasn't forgotten. Every time his name trends, this old story claws its way back up, reminding fans that the man who played TV's most complicated ad executive might have had some real-life demons of his own. Eric Clapton's on-stage meltdown that still haunts him. Eric Clapton is a rock legend, one of those names people say with reverence, like his guitar was blessed by the gods themselves. But there's a moment from his past that fans still struggle to make sense of, a moment that doesn't fit the calm, mystical image of the man behind Layla. It happened in 1976, during a concert that was supposed to be just another night of blues riffs and beer-soaked nostalgia. Instead, Clapton grabbed the mic and went completely off-script. What came out of his mouth wasn't poetry or passion. It was a drunken, jarring rant praising British politician Enoch Powell, the same guy infamous for his rivers of blood speech. Clapton rambled about immigration, threw out racial slurs, and insisted the country needed to be kept white. The crowd froze. Even his closest fans couldn't spin it, couldn't excuse it, couldn't believe it. Decades later, the incident hasn't faded. Every time Clapton speaks publicly about politics, vaccines, anything, the internet drags that night back into the spotlight. It's like a shadow he can't outrun, a reminder that even legends can leave scars they never fully repair. Rob Lowe's scandal that nearly ended his career. In the 80s, Rob Lowe wasn't just famous, he was everywhere. Magazine covers, teen heartthrob posters, red carpets, he had that effortless Brat Pack glow. But in 1988, at the peak of his rising stardom, one scandal hit so hard it almost vaporized his entire career overnight. It started with what people casually called a sex tape, but the real issue exploded when it became clear that one of the participants was underage. Suddenly, Lowe wasn't the charming lead from St. Elmo's Fire. He was the center of a national firestorm. The fallout was instant. Studios backed away. Publicists panicked. Lowe stepped back from Hollywood entirely, disappearing just long enough to make the world wonder if he'd ever return. And for years, that tape became a cautionary tale about fame, impulse, and how fast an idol can fall. Yet somehow he clawed his way back, slowly, quietly, and with roles that leaned into reinvention. But no matter how many comedies he delivers or how likable he appears today, that 1988 scandal still lingers in the background. It's the chapter he can never fully shut, no matter how polished the comeback. Dr. Dre's violent incident that hip-hop still talks about. Before the Super Bowl performances, the billion-dollar headphone empire, and the global respect, Dr. Dre was already a force, shaping West Coast hip-hop with the precision of a scientist. But behind that creative genius is an incident from 1991 that still shadows his legacy. It happened at an LA nightclub, long before social media could twist or soften anything. Dre crossed paths with TV host Dee Barnes, and what followed wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a physical assault so severe that it stunned the entire music community. Barnes filed a $22 million lawsuit, describing being slammed against walls, kicked, and dragged. Dre eventually settled out of court, but the story didn't fade. Every time his name resurfaces, whether in a biopic, a business deal, or a halftime show, this moment gets dragged back into the spotlight as a reminder that his rise wasn't without real harm. Dre has offered apologies over the years, but many believe the reckoning never fully matched the damage. It's a chapter fans still wrestle with. How to celebrate a pioneer while acknowledging the violence that marked part of his past. Mark Wahlberg's violent past that still follows him. Mark Wahlberg's rise from street kid to Hollywood heavyweight is the kind of transformation studios love to romanticize. But the part no PR team can fully polish is his violent teenage past, incidents that weren't just reckless, but racially charged and severe enough to leave a permanent stain on his record. Long before The Departed or Ted, Wahlberg was a troubled kid in Boston, racking up charges that would shadow him for decades. The most infamous moment came in 1988, when he attacked two Vietnamese men in separate incidents on the same day. It wasn't a bar fight, wasn't a misunderstanding. Court documents describe an unprovoked assault that left one victim injured. Wahlberg served time, 45 days behind bars, but the story didn't disappear with his release. And when he later applied for pardon in 2014, hoping to officially wipe the felony from his past, the backlash was immediate and intense. He eventually withdrew the request, admitting that no signature could undo the harm he caused. And even today, as he stands as a global celebrity and businessman, that old chapter still resurfaces, reminding the world that his redemption arc didn't come without real, human cost.